Hello and welcome to episode 15 of Personable. Today I am hugely honored to be joined by Simon Johnson. Simon is the founder of Aesthetic Strength. He began his fitness journey at 16 years old, is one of the youngest to qualify for the EIF personal training, was a county level tennis player, rugby player, and has built a fitness business to over 2,000 clients, helping people to cut an average of 10% body fat in their first 90 days. He is also very successful on social media with over 250,000 followers across platforms, and has been also featured on mainstream media, including ITV News, BBC Radio, Dubai Radio, and has talked at conferences on mental performance and for fitness entrepreneurs. He's completed an Ironman, a marathon, and he's also qualified for the British Championship for powerlifting. I'm hugely excited for our conversation. I feel like Simon has a lot to say and there's a lot that we can learn from him. So thank you so much for coming on today, Simon.
Yeah, thank you for having me, mate. I really appreciate it. It's going to be an interesting conversation.
So Simon, I want you to take me to the beginning of when you first got into fitness, when you took it seriously. I mean, at that time, as we've mentioned, you were a county level tennis player and rugby player, and how you turned that passion for fitness and for sport into a real business.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's interesting. I don't consider myself a normal person because I'm definitely not. I always say, like, ever since I literally came out the womb, sports has been my life, whether it was rugby, football, tennis, in the gym, whatever it might be. I was obsessed with it. And I loved just performing, competing, challenging myself, getting out my comfort zone, meeting new people. That was my way of doing that. So literally from the age of 3, 4, 5, I was playing sports. And my fitness journey within like the gym space more so started when I was 11. And back in Jersey, where I'm from, there was a program called the High Performance Program at the time. Now it's called One Foundation. Sadly, recently it's obviously been folded. But their whole goal was to take people from Jersey and give them the opportunity to take their sport to the highest level. And I was part of that and just fell in love with the gym. Just fell in love with it because I think at that time, being so young, I actually hated school, like probably a lot of people. But what I loved about the gym was if you turn up day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, you just do the work, there's no way you're going to fail because you will see progress. It's you put this in, you get this out. And I loved that because I'm a very progress orientated person. But I also realized what the gym gave me and what the character traits it taught me was hard work, consistency, discipline, focus. And I would put those character traits down to you being able to achieve any level of success. I hate the word success, but whatever you envision success being in whatever area you want to take it to. Because it's about the character traits that it embodies into you to allow you to achieve what you want to. So,
yeah, where did that idea come from actually having this? You know, you said you weren't a normal person, but actually pursuing this and thinking, I've got an idea. Let's create this into a business. How did that idea come to you, and going from an idea to actually putting it into action?
Yeah, absolutely. So weirdly, growing up, I knew what I wanted to do. Originally it was play professional tennis, wasn't good enough for that, very simply. Then it was play professional rugby, just didn't happen, wasn't good enough. Okay, I'm not going to try and silver coat it or line it, just wasn't. Okay. And plan B was always be a personal trainer. I loved it. And I realized that coaches had such a key part in my life ever since, literally, like I said, I came out the womb from 3, 4, 5. I knew what it gave me and I want to be able to give that back to other people. So when I was 16, I begged, stealed and borrowed from every family member I could ever to get enough money to pay for EIF, the European Institute of Fitness. And I did that. The plan was to do that, become a PT, do a little bit of personal training on the side whilst I was at school in a gym. And when I was there, the last module was putting together a business plan. And I'd never really even considered the thought of setting it up as my own business. It was always like, I'll go to a fitness first, or I'll go to somewhere else and do that. And it just sparked this idea of like, why would I build it for someone else when I can do it on my own? And I knew I was young enough to be able to take the risk and give it a go. And if it all failed, it didn't really matter. And also I was very lucky that my parents were super supportive and gave me the chance to start training people out of my garage and the shed at the time, which you've trained in.
Yeah.
But that's where it all came from, really.
How did you attract these initial clients? Because I think you mentioned that although that you hadn't got the risk element as much because you were young and you could go for it, but I'm sure that a lot of people would want a more experienced trainer or someone that's been in the industry for a while. So how did you get your initial clients?
Yeah,
after you decided to go for it?
absolutely. So I remember I qualified. I then did 2 weeks in the UK, like seeing family, seeing some friends and stuff. And when I came back in 2 weeks, I had 10 clients. And I literally just went through all of my contacts in my phone, anyone I knew off social media, friends, family, friends of friends, family of family. And I just messaged everyone like, hey, look, I've just recently qualified as a personal trainer. Do you want to come for a free session? And then just did a really good job, and they committed. And at the time I was selling blocks of 10 sessions, and then do a really good job with them. They told their friends. Jersey's amazing in certain ways and a pain in the ass in other ways, as we
Yeah.
both know. But the fact that it is such a small place, and through playing years and years and years of sport, I knew so many people. All it took was for me to just, to quote Alex Hormozy, give them an offer they were stupid to say no to. It was going, hey, look, why wouldn't you come for a free personal training session? And then when I got them in the door, I just did a really good job.
When you started and you started to get consistent clients, which it sounded like you had a very smart idea from early on, how did you transition that business model from in-person events in your parents' garage to the online business that we have today?
Yeah, very difficult and a lot of mess ups along the way, to say the least. So I did about six years in person, that between group sessions, between one-to-one clients. And the goal was always to go online, unlike a lot of personal trainers, because growing up, I saw a lot of people or personal trainers who were potentially late 30s, mid 40s, even in their 50s, still on the gym floor, selling their time for money. They've got a family. Now they've got to work on sociable hours, and their income's completely capped. So I always knew that I wanted to go online for a number of different reasons. One was the freedom. Two was the growth and be able to make more money. The other was to be able to help people all around the world. And the biggest one for me was actually being able to work with people that I wanted to particularly work with. So it wasn't training Sally from around the corner who wanted to tone her bingo wings. No disrespect to Sally. Sally's a lovely lady, but where my passion lies, where my expertise lies, and where I get the most fulfillment is helping people who are in a good position. They want to go to a great position. They've got some area of success in their life, whether it might be business, it might be their professional career, it might be their family, but their health and their fitness is the last kind of missing piece to the puzzle for them to feel like they've completed it.
Why would someone, you mentioned that missing piece of the puzzle, but I think a lot of people, their idea would just be to get fitter. So what do you think the real unique selling point of your business is, and why do you think you've got over 2,000 clients that have come to you? Why not go to someone else? Why not go to someone like VShred or another online business or another in-person trainer?
Yeah, it's funny on VShred, actually, side tangent here. I've been interviewing a few new people for a couple of roles within the business, and the amount of people who have worked for VShred and now are leaving because they don't necessarily agree with how they do it ethically. But
ethically,
their unique mechanism is just a load of marketing garbage. There's nothing necessarily. Let's be realistic. You can find a study to back anything. I could find a study that's saying drinking water makes you fat. Wow. You could. You really could.
Yeah, that's true.
Prime example. Kellogg's. Okay, the whole breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Guess who funded that study? Kellogg's. Of course, breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Intermittent fasting.
Exactly. What makes us different, I believe, is I have 10 years of experience within the field, working with such a range of people, because I didn't necessarily niche down for the first 6 years. I was like, I want to coach everyone. I want to become the best coach that I possibly can. Now, through 10 years, I know the science because I keep myself up to date, but I also have 10 years of experience coaching thousands of people. Now, health and fitness, weight loss, whatever it might be, is incredibly simple in theory, but incredibly hard in application. What I think makes us different is I know both sides of that, and I help people find the middle ground where it's scientifically backed, but it actually fits and incorporates into their lifestyle. So it's actually caring about your client, understanding their goals, their lifestyle, their struggles, and then having a range of different solutions that you can put together going, okay, great. Which do you feel is going to be the best one for you, rather than going, this is how we do it, you adapt to this. Because sometimes it's like trying to put a square peg in a round hole. It's just not going to work.
Sure. With that, and you're making a very clear point about VShred, and I've noticed that with a lot of other things about social media and the problems that it presents. How do you think people can find the right fitness trainers and the right people? You know, a lot of people are using social media as their source of news, as their source of knowledge. But people like VShred, I mean, it was seen by millions and millions of people, and yet, you know, it's not really garnering the results it needs. So how can people find the trainers and the right information about their diet and their fitness and their goals and what they want to achieve.
Absolutely no. We're shooting a lot of shots at V-Shred here. It's not necessarily my style to like badmouth people. Like, don't get me wrong, they still get some amazing results with their clients. But the biggest thing for me is like not necessarily looking at just the results they get, but the consistency in which they achieve those results for people. Because if you have 1 million clients and you get 100 people insane results on social media, that might look amazing, but really it's awful.
Yeah.
Do you understand? And this is me just assuming.
And they're probably doing it anyway. And those people are probably training and doing things anyway.
They just needed someone to go do this. That's it. They just needed to get out their own way. I've invested a lot into mentors over the last couple of years, and it's probably been the biggest catalyst for my progression. I will continue to. I've been a coach for 10 years and I still have my own coach. Okay. And I will always have a coach. Now, I look for people who have been there and done it themselves. Okay. People who are actually qualified. Do you know, in 10 years of personal training, I've been asked what my qualifications are twice.
But one big thing about this, and one thing I found particularly helpful, particularly working with people like yourself, is this idea of accountability. And I think for a lot of people, accountability is physically having, someone like their mum and dad to make them do their homework, or a boss at work to make sure they do their job. Yeah. But I found that with a lot of these online programs, there's a lack of accountability because, there's a limit to the amount of satisfaction you can get from just doing, some online form saying, well done, you've reached a new PR. But for yourself and with clients across the world, how do you manage people's accountability and make sure that they actually are doing the workouts that you set them and actually going towards and achieving their goals?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, accountability is the glue between your goal and your achieving. Like, that's how I view accountability. How we help hold our clients accountable is also actually putting them up to them. Because some people might say, like, I just want to be spoken to once a week, but I want it to be more in depth. And some people prefer like little and often. So that's kind of one way that we start to navigate it. Because if you've got someone who doesn't like lots of communication and you're giving them it, it's just going to put them off and they're not going to want to do it. Whereas if you've got someone whereas like you don't get any depth to it, it's about understanding what the client feels like they need. Again, actually caring about your client. But alongside this, we have so many different forms of accountability. We have an app that people track their workouts on. So I can literally see what exercise you've done, how many sets, how many reps, what weight you've lifted. And we always prescribe, say, a progression method. If you're not following it, I'll be like, hey, look, Harvey smashed it on this last week. Let's just up the weight to this. We've got habits that people check off. And even though I might not be messaging a client or having a call with a client all the time, I always know day to day, week to week, what they have done or what they haven't done. And we have like a minimum threshold. We know that 80% adherence will get someone amazing results. So if someone's adherence starts to drop below 80%, that's when we're like, kind of get on top of it to make sure they're held accountable. But alongside that, the one other thing is probably actually just making sure someone understands what a successful week looks like. Because as high performers, and I'm sure a lot of the people listening to this podcast are going to be high performers who have high expectations for themselves and high standards, they think a successful week is perfection. It's every calorie nailed, every workout nailed, every meeting nailed, every step nailed, sleeping perfect, nutrition perfect, everything. But it's about having realistic expectations that set you up for success, and then you stack wins and then you build momentum.
Now, having that and having had so many successful clients, do you now have a set criteria for the type of people that you take on board, or is it really a case of anyone that wants to get fit?
I'm very person by person. Like, I do this because I like to help people change their life. And if I get someone on the call who's playing the victim, saying it's this, none of this is my fault, I haven't done this, this person did this because of this, I'm like, you're probably not going to be the right fit. I'm a very straight to the point person. Okay. And me and that person just aren't going to align very well. But I look for people who value health. Because if you value health and you see the importance of being healthy, we're going to be a good fit. Because I can talk to you on a level where you can understand why it's actually important for you to get fitter, get healthier, look your best, feel your best, and perform at your best. Whereas if I've got someone who just wants to go to Ibiza and get shredded, sure, I can do it. I can get them an amazing result, but it doesn't give me a huge amount of fulfillment or my team.
On that, there you've been, I follow you on social media along with a lot of my family members. But you've had this story of how you were training a lot and then you got out of shape and then you got much better into shape again. But alongside that, you sort of had the mental implications of you not being as fit and then getting fit again. How important do you think fitness is for your mental health, and what's the overall aspect and importance that it has for our fitness? Because you mentioned that guy or woman that's just getting shredded and that's their only focus and doesn't believe in actually getting fit and being overall healthy. So you talk me a bit about, how that works and the importance of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the common human neurosis is we're all afraid of not being enough and we're all afraid of not being loved. Sorry to go deep, but it's true. Okay. Now, if you have wrapped your whole identity up in I want to look a certain way, and that is your whole level of success, what you see as success, the second you're not there, you see yourself as a failure and not worthy and not good enough. So if you're purely attaching your self-worth to your aesthetic, you're setting yourself up to fail and feel like shit, which will affect your mental health. So it's not a case of like, sure, let's be real here. Looking good makes a lot of people feel good. And that's right, it should do as well. But it should be about how you feel when you look good. What it allows you to do. Does it allow you to run around with your kids? Does it allow you to be able to go out the door and run a 5K or a 10K, whatever it might be? Because it's about so much more than that. And it's about understanding who you're becoming in the process of getting in amazing shape. As I said before, the character traits: hard work, consistency, discipline, self-worth, dedication. It's just about understanding those and how that will then help you for the future. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So have you found that most people nowadays, it's more about because especially with the older crowd, I mean, a lot of younger people, it's just about getting shredded and getting the best they can be. Whereas you mentioned that even with, people with the older crowd, or not even older, but even just having kids, they want to be able to look after their family members.
Mm-hmm.
Could you talk a bit about like how that helps? Because I know that there's a statistic that, something, I think it's over 50 years old, that you lose like a percentage of muscle every year. And I've read about how important it is to put on that size so that you can have that later on. But I'm not an expert in this field. So,
well, the reason that a lot of people lose muscle as they get older is because they stop actually stimulating the muscle. Okay, if you don't use it, you lose it. All right. So it's not necessarily that you just get hit a certain age and you start losing your muscle. It's just most people hit a certain age and their priorities shift and they forget about their health. So that's the major thing. But it's been interesting, a massive pivot, I would say, really since COVID of, yes, there's the aesthetic side of things, and that is a big driver for people. But there's also a huge driver in terms of being fit and healthy. I think the industry is changing a lot from how big can I get, how jacked can I get, can I look like a bodybuilder, to this new kind of like hybrid era where I want to look, feel, and perform like an athlete. So, yeah, it's been a big.
Yeah, I mean, even yourself, you managed to do an Ironman, which is incredibly impressive. On the idea that people are just getting fit and you pick clients based on health-based actions, and you've got this quoted stat in which people lose 10% of body fat on average in their first 90 days. Do you find that your clients are staying on after those 90 days or after those 180 days? Yep. Or is there a big drop off after people have achieved their ideal physique?
No. So we seed in. So the reason I seed with that stat is because I give people what they want and then we show them what they need. Okay. From a marketing aspect, we have to show people want the transformation. They want to lose the fat because they think that will make them feel better. The key is to actually maintaining results. So we have a 4-phase process that we take our clients through. Phase 1 is our priming phase. So that's habits, that's routine, that's structure. Because most people don't have control of their time. Time controls them. They feel messy. They're all over the place. They're really passive. They put things off again and again and again and again. The first couple of weeks is purely focused on getting them into amazing routine, controlling their time. Because if they can do that, everything else becomes easier. Imagine that as like building the foundation for the pyramid. Phase 2 is the fat loss phase, because most people need to lose some body fat to get themselves just for health and aesthetics. Once we get there, we then run something called a reverse diet. So we slowly strategically increase calories, helps ramp up metabolism, improves insulin sensitivity, makes people's bodies a lot more effective at utilizing the additional calories for their training performance. Throughout that phase, we focus on maintaining body weight and also making people understand what maintenance actually is. Because if I'm 80 kilos, for example, people think maintenance is 80 kilos. It's not. In my eyes, maintenance is 5% of a buffer. Okay, so 80 to 84. So if I fluctuate up to 84, I've then got a hard and fast stop to like, Simon, you need to tighten up on something or you need to get back onto it. So I fluctuate, I'll bring things back down. I stay within that range because staying bang on is just unrealistic. But if you have, most people do that and then they gain 2 kilos and they're like, oh, well, stuff it. Might as well keep going. Okay. Whereas if you have the hard and fast stop, and then our last phase is like a performance phase where they get fitter, you get stronger, you work on your performance. Because if you look after the performance, the health, the body fat, the aesthetics look after themselves.
What do you think are the most important aspects aside from physical exertion and training and running, such as diet, sleep, and routines? Particularly the idea of the diet and how can people add those into their lifestyles to make themselves much better, healthier, and happier?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, everything I teach is through a pyramid. So we have a training pyramid, a nutrition pyramid, a transformation pyramid. The reason being that imagine if people who are watching this be able to see if the Egyptians built pyramids like that, so the right way up, they stand. If they built them the wrong way up, upside down, with the smallest end at the bottom, the pyramid would collapse. So it's about understanding the law of diminishing returns. Most coaches focus on the 80% that only gets 20% of results. What we do is we focus on the 20% that gets 80% of results first. So in terms of understanding how to incorporate that, I think sleep is your foundation for everything. There was a study done for people who sleep less than 7 hours. On average, they consume an extra 500 calories per day. To put that in perspective for people, 500 calories 7 days a week, that's 3,500 calories. That's equal to 1 pound of body fat every single week just by not sleeping 7 hours.
That's like an extra like 20-25% as well.
Exactly. And that's on average.
What about diet wise? Because is it all about cutting out all of the sugar, cutting out the chocolate cake, not going out drinking alcohol with your friends? Or is it about balance? What's the true side of fitness?
The truth. Okay. The truth is everything in moderation, but that never sells. That's why Shred do so well, is because they do so contrary in terms of like carbs don't make you fat, whereas most mainstream is saying that. Okay. And it's saying you can still eat alcohol because everything in moderation doesn't sell. Okay. But diet is, in my eyes, the next thing on top of sleep. Okay. Because you can literally train your ass off 6 days a week for hours and you'll never see the results that you want. Trust me, I tried for years. Okay. And I know so many people do exactly the same thing. Now, when it comes to diet, again, there's a pyramid. The base of the pyramid is calories. This is the easiest place to start for most people. Now, I speak to a lot of clients on a weekly basis who have worked with nutritionists. No, it doesn't work for me. And this isn't me saying nutritionists are bad, because there's some amazing nutritionists out there. But I think the number one most important thing for someone who's starting their health and fitness journey is seeing results. Because if you see results, you get positive reinforcement and you stay consistent. Most nutritionists, it's like, right, eat more fruits and vegetables, add protein into each meal, which is amazing for your health, but it doesn't make you see results. And if you don't see results, you're not going to stay consistent. So the number one thing is just know your calories. Next thing is protein. Okay. Because if you know your calories, you get 80% of the results you want. If you know calories and protein, you get 90% of the results that you want. Once you're nailing those two, just make sure you follow the 80-20 rule. 80% of your food comes from good, whole quality sources. 20% do whatever the hell you want with. I do mine in ice cream personally.
Yeah, that's why you should cut out the extra 500 calories so you got the rest to enjoy. Get your sleep. I've seen we've mentioned a transition away from the bodybuilding phase to more of a hybrid phase. But a lot on social media, can't remember his name, I think it's Joe something, big bodybuilder, recently passed away in the last year.
Joe
people are saying he's got the most ideal physique in the world, almost alien type muscles, but yet he's passed away. I don't know if it was directly related or not, but there is a dark side to fitness in that people are trying to get these physiques that they can never actually achieve because they don't have the genetics, they're not taking a load of steroids, and they don't have the resources or the time to achieve. Could you talk a bit about the dark side of fitness and how you stay away from that, how you stay clean and how you stay towards your goals while having realistic expectations about what you can achieve?
Absolutely. There's a huge dark side to the fitness, and there is a lot of performance enhancing drugs that go around. And I would lie if I'd say I haven't been tempted in the past, because I have, but more so out of curiosity, because I managed to build what I think is a pretty reasonable physique naturally. It's like, I wonder what that would be like, but I haven't touched anything. And for me, the way that I stay away from stuff like that is understanding, like, for the long term, what's important. Most people want to have a family. Most people want to have kids. And this isn't saying if you take that stuff, you can't, but there's always a risk. Okay. And is having 3, 4, 5 pounds of muscle more important to you now than potentially never having kids in the future, or potentially dying of a heart attack at the age of 30? That's how I look at it. But it's not even just that. It's understanding that social media is a highlight reel. You're literally seeing people at their best. I live in Dubai. The amount of influencers I see around, and they spend 90 minutes taking freaking photos by the pool. Like when you see the other side of it behind the scenes, you see how cringy and how awful it is. Okay. And a lot of people idolize these people, think, I want to look like that. I want to be like that. I want that lifestyle. But when you see it behind the scenes, like, sure, some of them will live a pretty amazing lifestyle. Half of them are skint. Okay. Don't have a penny to their name and living in an overdraft, because followers don't pay bills as well.
Do you think? I think one of the big problems about social media, as you mentioned, is this idea of extremes, and that what you said. Hey guys, watch this video. Today we're getting a healthy, balanced salad, 80% salad, and I'm having an ice cream. And they're like, what? And I'm fit and stuff. And it's like, no. They want to hear that you're only eating ice cream and you've got a six pack. It's all about extremes.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be a navigation away from that in the future, or do you think it's going to continually get more extreme, more extreme, more extreme? And then how do we navigate that if that is if that is what's going to occur?
I don't think it will change, because people's attention spans are getting less and less and less and less. Like social media, we look even back like 2 years ago. I used to post IGTVs that were like 5 to 10 minutes long. Now I'm trying to make reels under 30 seconds. So this shows how much people's attention spans. Like our average watch time on videos is like 10 to 15 seconds. That's it. So you have to capture attention and hold interest within that time. If I turn around, I'm like, well, today we're going to do a healthy and balanced day of eating to gain muscle. Whereas if I went, how to eat what you want and stay in amazing shape. Oh my God, I want to do that.
But how do you, if people have these morphed expectations, how do you match those expectations with what you actually need to do? Is it more just like a clickbait thumbnail and then, I'm not even just talking about on social media, I'm more talking about with your clients, and that people often have a warped sense of view and what it actually takes. So how do is it about gently easing them into what reality is, or how are you,
for us,
hiding the greens?
Managing expectations from the get-go. Okay. And I would say real people, real results for us. And that's why we have that 4-phase process, because it shows people to understand the journey of how they not just get in shape, but stay in shape as well. Okay. So you have never seen me market a 6-week challenge. You've never seen me market a 4-week reset or a 20-day intermittent fasting.
24 hours. 24 hours, I'll get you a 6-pack.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me £1 million. Give me £1 million and I'll do it for you.
Yeah, literally. That's the thing. I don't know if you follow much of Alex Hormozi's stuff, but he talks about the value equation. Have you ever heard about that?
I've heard of Alex Hormozi, but I haven't heard of the value equation.
Yeah. So the value equation is, to put this in perspective, you think that people will spend $20,000+ on liposuction, but they won't spend $200 a month on coaching. Why?
Instant
effort and sacrifice. It doesn't take much effort to have a needle wake up skinny. It doesn't take any time. So our goal is, how do we get our clients results as fast as possible in a sustainable way?
Having had this experience and deep knowledge that you've got now, what advice would you give your 16 or 18-year-old self going about rebuilding this business? And what advice would you have for other young entrepreneurs wanting to do the same thing, even industry adjacent?
Yeah. Invest into mentors. Find someone who's been there and done it themselves, got the qualifications, and they've helped other people achieve what you want to achieve. Number one. Like, I planned out the online side of my business for 18 months. I've still got photos. I wrote whiteboards. I'm going to do a members area. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. Nothing ever happened for 18 months. I'm a bit of an overthinker. Until I invested into my first mentor, and it cost me $997 at the time. And I remember trying to haggle him down on the call. Until I invested into that mentorship, had the knowledge to bridge the gap to get going, but also the accountability to take action. That was the catalyst. And it literally went from 3 online clients to over 100 online clients in the matter of months. That's 100 active, not just coached.
Do you think the idea of a mentor is more someone that can actually give you advice, or you think it's more an echo chamber and actually being able to get your thoughts out and have someone that can trust you and be with you along the journey?
Both. I think both. In my eyes, the role of a mentor is to help you achieve what you could achieve on your own in less time. Okay, like let's relate it to fitness. Hey, look, eventually everyone will lose weight if they'll find the information online. They'll have a few hiccups along the way. They'll fail. They'll get back on track. They'll fail back on track. They will lose the weight. They might not keep it off. They might not do it the right way, but they'll lose it eventually. The role of a coach is to understand what's the right way to do it from the get-go, and understand that 4 weeks in, they're going to finish the honeymoon phase, we call. So the easy losses are going to change. They're going to start to have some cravings. Their energy might start to drop a bit. And it's the role of a mentor is there to say, this is normal. This is how you combat it, rather than falling off track and having to restart again.
With social media and you generating different clients through different means, where do most of your clients come from? Is it referrals? Is it social media? Is it your website? Is it other means?
Yeah. So like referrals and social media. That's it. Okay. We run a little bit of paid traffic in terms of like platforms and where most of our clients come from. It would be like Instagram would be top. Facebook and LinkedIn would be next. And then like we've got over 130,000 followers on TikTok. I've had one client.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that shows the importance of the different social medias. I think I was watching a podcast the other day by, I think it was Ali Abdul, and he was talking about that on one of his guests was talking about that on TikTok the other day, in that no one ever searches Simon Johnson on TikTok. You could watch one video and you have no idea who you watched before. So I think it shows the value of the platforms. But at what point did you realize through this journey how important social media was, and really delve deep and go into generating high performance videos and for your
my first mentor said a line that stuck with me ever since, and he said, if you run an online business, it's now your job to post on social media. And really hit with me, and I literally have not missed a day of posting since. Like, you look at my feed, I've posted 2,000 whatever times. Okay. But I wouldn't necessarily, I was always posting what I thought was good content at the time, and I was staying consistent. In my eyes, just do more, okay, to start with, because it's never ever going to be perfect. So just produce more, post more, do more, you'll learn from it. And it's now that we've really started to actually dive into how do we increase watch time? How do we get more people to click? What content's actually working? What do people want to see? What do people want to understand? For most of my stuff, if I talk about nutrition, people are bored. People don't want to listen to it. But I know that that's literally what they need to see results, but it doesn't give me eyeballs. And I need eyeballs to help more people. I need eyeballs to get more clients. I need eyeballs to grow the business. Okay. So it's again, showing them what they want so you can give them what they need. So I show people lots of training content. I seed in a bit of nutrition stuff so they become problem aware. They see the training content. They're like, oh, that's cool. I might follow it. They see the nutrition stuff. So they realize, oh, I'm doing the training stuff, but I'm not sorting out my nutrition. Maybe there's a gap here. And then our coaching helps them deliver the solution.
Do you have a sort of business development team or a social media team behind this? And how are you working out what to post? How are you being so consistent and pumping out so much high, performance, such good content? How are you doing it?
Yeah, so it's evolved a lot, particularly this year. I mean, now we have myself, a videographer. So the best thing I ever did in terms of producing more high quality content is have a videographer that I have once a month, and the date is set in, so I have to be there.
Wow. So once a month you have a set date, everything you want to film?
Yeah, we'll film 20 to 30 reels and maybe some other content in one.
That's
just
genius.
one thing, just bang it out. Takes us maybe 3 hours. Then that content gets sent to a girl who edits everything for me. She puts it into a Google Drive folder, and then a virtual assistant posts it.
What's next on the social media side and for the overall business as you look towards 2024 and beyond?
Yeah. For me now, it's about building our team in terms of like our coaching team and our marketing team and things like that. We have a number of different people who help in different roles. It's now realizing that I am the biggest bottleneck in the business right now. Everything I've done and built so far has just been out of Simon, do more, I'll do it, just do it faster, take action, do more. Now realizing that I can only take that so far has been the biggest lesson in going from it being me in a shed at my mum and dad's garden to a team of nearly 10 now. It's been a lot of lessons along the way. But it's literally just keep doing what we're doing, do more of it, but allow me to step back out a bit more into the strategy side of it and training the team to be able to do the roles. So my big goal for 2024 essentially is to be able to get the business to a point where a client can see content, have a consultation call, get an amazing result, but I'm not directly having to do anything in there. So a business that can grow without me in it and still get the most incredible service and the dream result that they want.
Yeah, I mean, even on that point of scale, I mean, you mentioned it, taking yourself out. I think you'll see some, hopefully, some really explosive growth. What advice would you have for, because you're really in this transition phase now. So what advice would you have for a young founder wanting to get to that point, and then for someone else to get from where you are to the next steps?
Zero to here is do more. Okay. Do more, understand there's going to be ups and downs, but that's literally all part of it. The halfway through that phase, I would just say is data. Like for me, honestly, because if you start to track data, you start to know what works and you can do more of that. Because at the beginning, you just do more and you just get some clients coming, you go amazing. But then if you actually start to track the data and the numbers and understand what's working, you can do more of what's actually working. That helps to build scale. And then after that, the biggest realization I'd say I've had in the last couple of months is if you've got the right people on the bus, things move forwards. If you've got the wrong people on the bus, there's going to be a bottleneck. So my whole focus and everything now is literally just how can I find A grade people for my team? Because if you can tell when you've got an A grade player and a B or a C grade player. An A grade player is coming to you with ideas, going, oh, we should try this. Why don't we do that? I've thought about this. I'm trying to improve that. A C grade player does their job and asks for their paycheck at the end of the month.
How are you attracting these people, and how can someone else or yourself find them?
Still a lesson, to say the least. For us right now, in terms of like my coaches, I found through friends or networks, or for example, one of them I just reached out to the personal training center in Jersey. Went, hey, look, what were the best students that you've had in the last 12 months? Okay. Other people we've had who help with virtual assistants and setting and closes, I've literally found through Facebook groups. Okay, again, just do more. I'll literally search like high ticket closers or high ticket setters within Facebook. It comes up with thousands of groups. I copy and paste a job description into every one. Just do more. Okay, you can't go wrong with just do more.
And this idea of you have a lot of different branches of your business that people can't see from under the surface. And this key thing of data on social media, getting watch time, data on how people are trading and how they're performing. How are you collecting this data, and how do you know what to look for? I mean, nowadays there can be so much data that it's hard to see and notice anything.
Mm-hmm. From a client perspective, there's certain key drivers that get results in my eyes from a fitness business. Is a client's weight moving in the right direction? Are they adherent to their training? And are they checking in and communicating with you? Because if they're using the service, they're likely to get results. And if they get results, they're happy and they stay. Simple. Okay. And that can be the same for any business, really. Are they engaged in it, and are they using it, and are they seeing results? You don't need to know any more than that. Okay. Because if you then know which one is the issue, or they're not doing their check-ins, okay, how can we improve our check-in structure? How can we make it easier for a client to check in? From a marketing and a lead generation perspective, we know how many people, like inbound inquiries, are we getting, and we track it per day. For all of a sudden on the 22nd, I got like double the amount of inquiries I normally get. Guess what did I post on that day? Probably going to do more of that. How many outbound messages am I doing? How many people are replying? How many calls am I booking? How many people are showing up to a call? How many people are signing up? Like that, if you know, just fix the bottleneck.
I did a podcast with a guy called Nick Wheeler, who's the founder of Charles Tyrrell. And he was explaining about how you could build a business the slow way over time. And he built a shirt company. And I have a similar sort of question for you, in that shirts, there's lots of different shirts. I'm wearing one, you're wearing one, lots of different types. People would say it's oversaturated. The fitness industry, there's lots of personal trainers. There's people like V-Shred. There's people like yourself. There's tons. There's lots of know-it-alls all over the internet. So what do you think you can do to make something like your business different, your unique selling point? And do you think that one even needs a unique selling point, or is there a big enough pie to go for everyone?
I think to get going, do not niche down. Your niche will find you. Okay? Because the last thing you want, you're getting going, maybe you're investing capital, stuff like this, is going, no, I don't want to work. You don't fit my niche. get the person in. You might enjoy working with them, you might not, but you're fine tuning your craft. And even if it's a lesson in terms of who I don't want to work with, you've understood that. In terms of how to separate yourself, health and fitness is very different because there's only so many ways you can say eat less, move less, eat more, whatever it might be. Okay, opposite of that. But what separates you is you. This is the thing. Fitness is a very personal brand. Okay, so trying to you will do something within your day. You'll find something interesting. There's an amazing book called A Thousand True Fans, I think it's called. And it's like I say, if you had 1,000 true fans, you will make more money than you can ever imagine. You'll scale a business quicker than you can imagine. So I actually think being slightly polarizing is very beneficial on social media. But that doesn't mean you have to go against your values and what's true. It could just be a genuine belief that you have. Now, I have a belief that people should actually stop calorie tracking and start calorie planning. But people are like, stop calorie tracking. But I'm doing that from marketing because I hate tracking my calories. But they're still going to track in calories, but just going to track them a different way.
I thought we were going to hear something much more extreme. And maybe that is very extreme in the fitness world, but I thought you were going to say something outrageous from that point.
Like, it's not even that. Like, you can go, this is the thing where you, in my eyes, it has to align with your values and what you are important to. So I'm not going to turn around and say my metabolic priming diet because no one's metabolisms are broken. It doesn't align with me. And then when I'm speaking to someone about it, I'm like, yeah, my metabolic priming diet doesn't come across as authentic. So I think just be you, okay? And your unique differences will find themselves. I think if you're selling a product like a shirt and you can, all of a sudden you're the first person to make a zip collar, yeah, it's going to stand out. But I think when an actual service-based business, easiest thing to do is just get better results. Just get better results at the end of the day.
How do you maintain a core brand and core message when so much of fitness depends on each person? You can't just be like, eat more protein, get bigger, get stronger. Yeah, that's aesthetic strength. When, eating certain things, doing certain things, training certain ways is all independent depending on from person to person. So how do you have a strong core message in the middle whilst everything else is so different?
Instead of thinking like we do it a certain way, I think it's understanding like what we represent. So like for me, I represent hard work, discipline, consistency, and the fact that I genuinely believe that if you have the right people around you and you do the work, you can achieve anything. So that's my message. Okay, it's not intermittent fasting is the way, weight training is the way. It's like, look, if you're here and you want to achieve something, we can show you how to do that. But it's understanding that if you do this, it opens up so much more for you. And how we do the nitty gritty is going to be unique on person. I'm not going to say it's different because fitness is specific. Because what works for you and what works for me and what works for John from around the corner is going to be slightly changed. There's still fundamentals that we have to abide by, progressive overload, calorie deficit, but it's not really a value or a brand in my eyes. It's understanding what you stand for.
With this idea of what you stand for, do you think you're going to have a transition from that into maybe apparel or, courses without coaches as well? Or are you more just going to try and stay true to your core business in training people? Do you think you'll expand into other things, perhaps like a Gymshark type thing? What are your thoughts on that process?
Not now, not for a while. Like I've got shiny object syndrome. That's probably one of the biggest things that held me back for a long time in terms of everything growing. So like, at least for now in the foreseeable, it's literally just do what we're doing, do it better, do it faster, and continue to scale that. And if we ever do want to go into gyms or apparel or low ticket kind of coaching and stuff like that, we'll have more brand, more authority, more reputation to be able to do that off. But right now, it's just keep the main thing the main thing.
A lot of what you're doing, at least from my standpoint and what I'm seeing, because social media can be very directed according to what you're interested in. But it seems very new. But who did you look up to and who do you look up to now in building this brand and building to what you want to get to?
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting. That's a really good, a number of different mentors I've worked with over the years, Adam Haley, Phil Graham, Frank Del Blanken, and Charlie Johnson. I'd say alongside that is people like Chris Willink. I love his podcast in terms of mindset. Stephen Bartlett. And Alex Hormozy, I absolutely love, just in terms of how he makes complicated information very, very simple from a business aspect. But alongside that, I think my biggest role models are just in sport. It's teams. We use the quote "world-class basics" with our clients all of the time, and that comes from the All Blacks. They won 2 World Cups with the motto "world-class basics." Imagine if you just never missed the basics. Johnny Wilkinson, one of my biggest idols, just did more kicking, more practice, did more.
What does the market look like to you? I mean, you mentioned looking up to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of fitness people in there. But at the end of the day, building a business is you've got to have the market and actually having clients, which you are doing, you are achieving. Do you find that most of your clients are actually expanding the market size, getting people that weren't previously purchasing within the fitness industry and getting them in? Or do you find that you're getting other people's clients? What are your competitors, and what does the overall fitness market look like within your niche and your sector?
Within my space, I would say it's majority of people who were sporty when they were younger, and they worked out through that and then have either fallen out of it and need to get back on track. So they haven't necessarily directly purchased from, say, a personal trainer or an online coach before, but they've trained and they've purchased from a gym. I think with the online space, you do not get as many like people who have never stepped inside the gym before, especially not with my space. My girlfriend, Anna, she gets a fair few people, but she trains, say, busy mums, that kind of space. So it depends, niche dependent. Or we'll get people who have maybe tried an online coach through COVID. And they were like, a lot of people had a really, really bad experience with online coaching. And then we have to show them what it's actually like. Because through COVID, there was a lot of coaches who were personal trainers. COVID happened. Now I'm an online coach. You're not an online coach. You're a PT that went online because you had to, and you don't have a system or a structure or a program or process in place.
Building this amazing business, which seems to now, well, from my perspective, for a long time, has been working incredibly well. But there's a big focus on processes based on the social media side, based on getting clientele in and making sure that it's keep taking over. I mean, fitness isn't something, it's a service business. It keeps ticking over. But there's also you. I mean, you're currently at the core of the business. Even if there's some other route not going through, you're still incredibly important to it. How does Simon Johnson look after himself? What's his process to build this amazing brand whilst being so happy, so confident, fit at the same time? And are you happy, Simon?
Yes, I am. I'm very happy. I'm probably the happiest I've been in a long time. My version of happy is like freedom, being able to do what I want, when I want, with who I want, and working on meaningful stuff. Like, I do not work a day in my life. Like, I really don't. Okay, I love what I do. In terms of my own personal processes, come back to a quote that one of my coaches says, and you get the person thriving, the people and the profits will follow. I think it's amazing. Because at any time, I think anyone can say this in business, when you're looking your best, you're feeling your best, you're performing at your best, the business works. So you've got to think about, how do I keep me as a high performance machine? So for me, it's little things like I wake up early, I walk, I do the important work in the mornings. For me personally, people are different, but one of the most basic things you can do, I believe, is just schedule your workouts into your calendar like a doctor's appointment. You wouldn't miss your doctor's appointment. You wouldn't miss your dentist. So why are you missing your workouts? Block out the time in your calendar.
How do you make all of these incredible habits sustainable?
Don't ask for too much. Everyone thinks, how do I go from 0 to 10 rather than how do I go from 0 to 1 and 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 and build momentum. And
why live in Dubai?
Aha, great question. If you've been to Dubai, you'd understand. No, for me, I never thought I'd like Dubai. I'm literally one of the most least materialistic people you could ever imagine. I mean, I wear the same. I've still got t-shirts and shorts from rugby days, from old rugby kit. Why here? Weather, opportunity, environment. Simple. I didn't think I'd like it. I came here, got invited out here for a fitness conference, and something just clicked. I was like, I need to spend more time here. I love Jersey, and we said there's a lot of benefits there, but there is no one in Jersey in the fitness space at least who is trying to do things on the level that we are. No, not even close.
What's in terms of actually having this amazing content machine, how did you initially grow your social media? I mean, I'm trying to grow this podcast, hopefully create something out of it one day and create my own processes. And I often have this thing of, oh, everyone's asking, what is it? What's your unique selling point? How is it? And try and think of this perfect thing that doesn't yet exist, while at the same time trying to give a message of other people of positivity, of growth for them to learn. So how do you create this core branding and things when you're learning at the start, whilst also getting new followers, new customers, etc.?
Just enjoy the process. That's all I'd say, is enjoy making podcasts, get reps under your belt. And the amazing thing with this is you're going to speak to so many people who are amazing at marketing, at branding, maybe had podcasts and everything like that. And you'll learn from these people and implement it. Okay. Like, you're more likely, like, I'm a rugby guy. If you kick 100 conversions, let's say you make 50.
100,
200, obviously you're professional. If you do more reps, you make more. So all it takes is, I posted probably 2,000 times on social media before I had a video that got 1 million views organically. So stop thinking, like, just stretch the time horizon you're playing on. That would, my advice is literally just think, I'm going to be doing this for the next 10 years. So whether it happens now or it happens in 10 years time, it doesn't matter, because I just absolutely love what I'm doing right now.
What's one thing that you want someone listening to this podcast to take away about you, your values, and or your business?
I'm not special. I'm not smart. Everything I've done has literally been through working hard, investing into myself, and trying to realize where I've messed up and learning from it. That's it. Like, I'm the guy who literally can't spell. Like, I literally cannot spell. Okay. Harvey's seen my messages. I really can't spell. Okay. You don't have to have anything special. You just need to have a passion for something that is like deep inside of you and you refuse to settle. Keep working hard, invest into the right people. The only time you fail is when you give up.
What's your next fitness journey for yourself? Another Ironman, ultra Ironman, ultra Ironman. What's the plan?
I don't know, man. The Ironman was a big learning curve, and it took a lot away from other parts of my life. That was a big lesson in terms of, like, it took a lot away from running the business. It took a lot away from my relationship. So this year is purely committed to just training because I love training, running if I want to run, swimming if I want to swim, gymming if I want to gym, just really laying a solid foundation for probably the year up next year, specifying into some other bits and bobs. One thing I have on the cards is potentially a 600 kilo powerlifting total and a sub 6 half Ironman in the same day. So 600 kilo powerlifting total would be 600 kilo total between squat, bench press, and deadlift, which is okay. But then the sub 6 Ironman, half Ironman in the same day would be pretty cool.
I mean, that would be very insane. I feel hugely privileged to be able to talk to you today. I think for me with fitness, my fitness has ebbed and flowed over time. But one thing I really like about fitness is the common attributes and the things that really make fitness important, the motivation, the discipline, sticking to it, actually aligns a lot with building a business. And if anyone listening to this has noticed the similarities, as Simon's talked about who he looks up to, isn't just, Arnold or someone like that, but really people changing the way we look at business, look at social media over time. And I think what you've done is really amazing in having had this idea to actually, first of all, follow your passion, stick to it, build an in-person business out of your parents' basement, to creating this amazing online brand that's growing, what looks now at a rapid rate, but has actually been a 10-year journey and another 10-year journey. I love the way you've utilized social media. I think your reels and stuff are very addictive, and I find that my whole family are watching them the whole time. My brother was trying to catch you out earlier, and he saw one of your videos, and it was like how to grow a bigger bicep, and then he wanted me to cut at the point where you said use steroids, and then you said not actually. And I think your journey is really inspiring. And I think even having known you for a while, your lingo has changed a lot in the way that you talk and the way you think about things. So thank you so much for coming on, Simon. I feel hugely privileged. I'm very excited to see what you do next.
Likewise, mate. Appreciate it. I really, really do. It's been amazing to see you progress and evolve, and I'm excited to see where this podcast goes for you as well.